Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. I have a very pretty little card using the Expressions and Inks suite and the Contours dies. And it's a pocket card and just a very simple design, but I think it's stunning. So let's just get started. Okay, here is my card, and this is a little pocket card. So this piece pulls out, but using some of this beautiful Expressions in Ink Designer Series paper and the Contours dies. And the Contours dies has, in addition to all of the other dies it has in it, it has this die. And this is what I used. And what I did was I used a piece of this designer series paper that had the majority of this kind of design on it. So it was full. And I used this once on this side to get the maximum I could out of that corner and still get my die to fit. And then out of the piece that was left, I came around to this side and I did that same thing so that I was able to use this one piece of paper for the material for the card that I created and the one we're going to do today. So it's pretty economical, and this piece of paper is 4 by 5 1/4, and it just sets up so beautifully to get a pretty good die cut out of that. And then also on that paper, if you'll recall, on that large sheet of paper, okay, this is what the full sheet looks like. And what I did was on this, for these cards, I cut this at 4 inches and 4 inches again. So I ended up with 3 long strips. And this piece of paper here is cut from this section here. And then this piece is cut from either this side or this side and gives me this next piece, which is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm using a thick Whisper white base that is 8.5 by 5.5 scored and folded at 4 1/4, and then this piece will go on the front of this. I'm thinking more like this, so that when we have our pocket here, this piece is out here and available. I suppose you could do it that way as well, but I kind of like the idea of this being more intense on this side. So, white card base, standard size. This piece cut from the paper here from one of these side strips that I cut at 4 inches. And that way you can get several pieces out of this one. And so then I have cut my diagonal piece here to go across this and right into this corner, so it creates my pretty pocket. And then we need a piece of Whisper white, or basic white, I guess it is, for my little card to fit in here. Like this. And this white piece is cut at 3 1/8 by 4 3/8. And so this piece is cut 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And that just leaves the tiniest little magenta madness border around this piece of card for our piece here. And then I used the ephemera pack. Let me show you what that looks like. that goes with this Expressions in Ink suite. And what I did was I used this little piece here, and I cut out the center, and I put a little bit of sticky on it, and I used it on a piece of this paper from the suite to cut out that hexagon here. So I picked up all of the colors. My piece came out looking like this, and what I did was I just laid this down and just used my scissors to go around and create this piece. And then I took the first of the frames around that, which is this piece, and set that down on my card here and put the color piece on the inside. Then in this ephemera pack, we're going to use this little leaf spray down here. Oops, this piece fell out. We're going to use this little piece down here. And what I've done is I cut those pieces apart so that I could stick the leaves around here. And then I also, from this same piece of paper, cut some of these foiled leaves here in places where there are two leaves together, and I cut two of those to go around and complement that. So I have cut both of those sets of leaves here, and those are ready to go. Now, on the stamp set, I used Sweet as a Peach and this Hello Friend, and what I did was I mounted them on my block so they're one right on top of the other, and they make this pretty little thing here. There's others that you can use that have other small images, and it kind of just depends on where you put this piece, but I wanted something fairly small over here. Let's see, there's one I was using from the hand suite, and it says Feel Better Friend up here in the corner, and I think that one would work really well up here as well. So a couple of choices, and you may have others in your stash that do something. I mean, even a small thanks up here, something like that would fit and work perfectly well. Okay, so let's start putting our card together, and I think very first thing I'm going to do is do my stamping. And so I'm going to put all of my pieces up here and my completed card over here, and here is where we're going to do our, that is photopolymer. So I have an old Stamparatus foam piece here that will work just fine, and I've got my Magenta Madness stamp set, or ink pad here, and I'm going to ink this up and put my Hello Friend right up here in that corner. And that is all the stamping we have. This is a fast and beautiful, really, because the papers are doing all of the heavy lifting for us. Okay, so now we have our card base, and this is ready to go on our card base. And for this card, I used mostly liquid glue because I felt, because all of the pieces are so exposed, that it really was important to get my pieces fitting absolutely perfectly straight on here. And so I used my liquid glue and tweezers to pick my pieces up and put them in place. And I want this one to go on this way, and Tombow just has that ability to allow you to wiggle this around on your page until you get it set absolutely perfectly. And then to avoid those lumps and bumps sometimes that you get with Tombow, you can smooth it out. You can also use a bone folder to just get an absolutely smooth fit on there. So there we go. We have our piece there. Now for this piece, I want it to go right here in the corner, and I want it to stick down, but I don't want it to impede this card when we put it on the inside. So you have a couple of choices. On this one, I used tear tape, and I put a strip of tear tape down the side here and trimmed it up around the edges and put it in place. And I thought with this one, I'm going to use glue dots because they're so small and they won't get in the way of anything. And I can fold these glue dots in half, which is what I'm going to do here. And then that profile of that glue dot is so small, I'm going to stick it in the corner there. And I think I can get away with just a couple glue dots here. So again, I'm going to fold this one over on itself and pick it up, and I'm going to put it right down in this corner. I think we can get away with just a few glue dots. Again, folding this one over on itself and picking it up and putting it up here on this corner. And then I think for safety's sake, I'm going to add a couple here and here. Now then, I'm going to start with my corner and get that absolutely right where I want it. Go up here to the top and press that one into place, and that should make this one line up just perfectly. And there we go. We've got our piece sealed and down, and I'm going to use my bone folder to flatten out those pieces. So this piece is going to get glued on here, and again I'm going to use the Tombow because that's such a tiny little margin that what I'm going to do is get it so that it is on there nice and straight, and this is going to give me the time that I need to kind of wiggle that into place. And if you get too much glue on a spot, I keep these little strips of card cut here. This doesn't make any difference, but I'm just going to use it to show you that you can just take it and kind of smooth out some of the glue. And I keep these, and then I use that end and I clip it off, and then I keep using it until it's all gone. Just saves me a little bit of time and effort when I'm working with Tombow. Okay, so I've got this put on here now, and I'm going to wiggle this around until I am really happy with that tiny little border on this page. There we go. And again, use my bone folder to smooth out any lumps and bumps that come from using that liquid glue. There we go. All right. Now then, this piece of, and here's another one of those strips, I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow on the edge of this strip. And then I'm going to use this one that I was using before, because this little edge is so tiny, and I don't know how else to successfully put glue on here. So I'm going to just use this as a tool to lay some glue down on this tiny little strip in these corners and get a little bit of glue down on this piece. and then go ahead and put this piece into place. And it almost doesn't matter how you put it on here. Just get it put in place on your card. And I'm going to use this baby wipe to just push it down into place. And there we go. All right. Now this piece is a little easier. We've got a little bit more surface to work with. So I am going to use my Tombow again on this piece, kind of around those edges, because this one has to wiggle into place as well so that it fits neatly on the inside of my hexagon. And then you have to decide how you want it. And I'm thinking this way. Put that into place. Move it around till I'm happy that it's in there. Very good. Now, what I was telling you before is now I have used this edge, so I'm going to cut off that edge, and I've used this edge with extra glue. And so what I'm going to do with these couple of pieces is I'm going to take these pieces and I'm going to toss them. And then my little tools are ready to go again for the next time I need that kind of glue on my card. Okay, and you see it's nice and neat. There aren't any glue pieces that you can see, so it leaves your work looking very professional because you just don't have any gluey edges. Okay, so this piece now, oh, I meant to add those leaves before I did that. All right, so let's get this piece, and I'm going to cut this down, cut these leaves off of here, and my little sprig. And I think I've got enough gaps there that I should be able to put this in place. And there we go. Yes, I do. So I'm going to pick up this little corner here and see how I'd like to have these arranged. And so I put this one out this way. One of these can go in here. Then maybe if I follow that along, I can get underneath here. And this one, it looks like I'm going to have to pick up, but I've got some room. So kind of like that. And I've got more leaves, and I may not need them all. Gosh, I had glue on my fingers there and got it on my leaf. I'm going to clean that off with just a little bit of alcohol. I think that is plenty of decoration for that. So now that I have that end picked up, what I'm going to do is do that same trick again. Well, actually, on these, I think I can use snail. So I'm going to pick that one up, and I'm going to use my dot runner and put that in place right underneath there. Then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this one, and while I've got my pokey tool helping me hold that edge up, I'm going to slide this one in place right in there as well. There we go. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to use my pokey tool to hold my place there and put a little bit of glue. You see how simple this card is. And yet it's so pretty. And it is the paper. That's the magic of using the paper to do some of the heavy lifting on some of our card making. So I'm going to put some glue on this one. In fact, that one's a little bit big. Maybe I'll use the opportunity to put this one in place instead, because it's a little bit smaller. And stick that one in there. And there we go. Still plenty of room to write your message. And actually, you could put another piece of white on the back here, because this does show. So you could do it either way and fit your message in there. See, this card, because I used the glue dots, is actually going to fit quite a bit further in there and showing more of this design around the edges, which I kind of like. So maybe the glue dots is the right thing, because they just take up less room around the edge. That tear tape is actually fairly thin, but for our purposes here, it pushes you quite a bit further up. So it's the kind of thing that I think you'll have to decide for yourself, but I like how much more of this edge is showing on this one. Also, in the ephemera pack comes this package of these iridescent looking kind of pink and clear adhesive back sequins. And so I used a bunch of these around the card, and I put them just at various places. I stuck one up here in the corner, and then I just dotted a few around to add a little bit of sparkle. Oh, not that this card needs much more sparkle, but there we go. You can put as few or as many as you'd like. And this ephemera package, which has, this is a complete sheet here of the pieces, and we got pieces coming out, but all of these various pieces can be used. So you can use the inside, you can use this by punching out that little berry piece and using that almost like a mask, where you could put some ink on the inside of it. I think it would be fun to sponge both into the negative spaces on some of these pieces. I think would be just as effective. And in this packet, so there's 5 sheets of this, plus this package of these adhesive back sequins. And so that is the ephemera pack that comes with this. And there we go. That is my project for the day. Simple and pretty, and I think really utilizing the max on this page. You'll have to tell me which you like better. On this one, I kind of like that I can see the rim, and this one I love because it shows me more of the edge. I like both of them. Which one do you like? Very interesting. Anyway, that is my project for the day. Thank you so much for coming by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, well, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. Through the end of the month, we have the join offer that is $155 worth of product for $99 instead of the normal $125, and you get to pick whatever goes in your starter kit. And let's see, my prize for the month is a $60 shopping spree on me, and you put yourself in the drawing by putting an order of any size on my blog, www.ingenuity.com, or write to my store. You can get to it through my blog, lbedinger.stampinup.net. And so again, that's it for me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. It does help me. Thanks so much for coming by, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!